Excuse me, sir, or ma'am, do you have a moment to hear me talk about clerics? Cleric subclasses to be specific? Hi everyone, CJ here. This time we're going to talk about cleric subclasses in Dungeons & Dragons. In general, clerics are great supporters and healers, but their subclass or divine domain adds an extra flavor to the class and can enhance their existing strength or let them take on other roles such as defending or a bit of damage dealing. And this time we're going to look at a few cleric divine domains that can't be found in the player's handbook to see what they can offer. The Arcana Domain Cleric starts off by getting a couple of wizard cantrips that's considered as cleric cantrips. This is pretty neat. The wizard's firebolt is a better damage dealer than the standard's cleric sacred flame, especially at earlier levels. And that's because there aren't many enemies with fire resistance yet. They also get a boost to their cantrip at higher level, letting them add their spellcasting ability modifier to their damage. But that doesn't mean that the Arcana Domain Cleric is going to become an excellent damage dealer. Their last domain feature at level 17 lets them add level 6, 7, 8 and 9 wizard spells into their prepared spell list. But that's very late into the character's level progression. By then, they should be more concerned about interplanar travel rather than how to deal more damage. The Arcana Domain spells that they get, like Detect Magic and Arcane Eye, suggest that the subclass is intended to be a supporter in a high magic setting, almost like an Inquisitor tasked to investigate magical activity. Their Channel Divinity feature works like Turn Undead, but intended for a single celestial, elemental, fey or fiend instead. Rather than destroying those type of creatures with certain challenge rating, they can banish it without needing to concentrate for 1 minute, which usually means the entire duration of the battle. So they can postpone having to fight a potentially very powerful enemy until they're ready. The Forge Domain Cleric can hold their own in battles. Blessed by the gods of the Forge, these clerics are tough. They can turn their weapon or armor into +1 magical items and switch the enchantment around after a long rest. At higher level, they get extra +1 to their armor class while wearing heavy armor and fire resistance. Later on, these develop into resistance to physical attacks and fire immunity. If we look at their bonus proficiency in heavy armor, it hints us that they are intended to be defenders rather than damage dealer. With full plate armor, a shield, their features, and Shield of Fate spell, they can easily reach 24 armor class. While they don't have proficiency in martial weapons, they can still do pretty good damage with the Elemental Weapon spell granted by their domain spell. But it would definitely be more effective to give it to an actual martial class who can hit more than once in a turn. In my opinion, this subclass might be better than the War Domain Cleric due to the bonuses they get and their access to the Elemental Weapon spell, but they still can't deal more damage than a fighter or paladin. Their Channel Divinity lets them create any tools, weapons, armors, and ammunitions. This is a very handy feature. It would certainly help on adventures when the whole party forgot to bring a grappling hook, or if you want to duplicate a key. In my opinion, this is a pretty solid subclass. Next, also from Xanathar's Guide to Everything, we have the Grave Domain. I think thematically, this subclass is the closest thing we have to a Cleric of Kalimdor, or a Doom Guide. Doom Guides see death as natural part of life, and the undead as abomination that need to be put back to rest. So I think that's why it makes sense that the Grave Domain Cleric doesn't have any animate undead spells as part of their domain spell. They do have Revivify and Raise Dead as their domain spells though, so they're ready to pull their allies back from the land of the dead. But they're not especially interested in healing, even though clerics in general are good at it. They don't get any bonus proficiency in heavy armor or martial weapons either, so they are definitely intended to be supporting the party from the back line, and they also get bonus to their cantrip damage like other non-martial clerics. Just because they are good at keeping people out of their graves, it doesn't mean that they have any qualms sending their enemies into them. They can curse their enemies and give them vulnerability for the next attack that hit them. Vulnerability means double damage, but that doesn't mean that they remove the monster's resistance or immunity. So it would deal normal damage to an enemy with resistance and no damage to enemies with immunity to the damage type. Okay, now let's move on to the final subclass, Death Domain. This one is not part of the official classes, but it is in the Dungeon Master's Guide, and I know that people will ask for it anyway since it's been out there for so long. Mike Merles thinks that this subclass is not designed to the level that they are happy with. I don't think that this subclass is that great either, but I will let you all be the judge of that. The Death Domain Cleric is intended to be a villainous subclass option. You can't see me doing this, but I'm actually making air quotes now. Their domain spells include Ray of Sickness and Animate Dead, Pestilence and Undead Army. Why does that have to be evil? Besides being a supporter, usually Cleric also fulfills some damage dealing role, either through enhanced weapon attack or cantrip damage. The Death Cleric seems to be divided into both sides quite evenly. They get proficiency in martial weapons and get Divine Strike that deals extra necrotic damage, and their Channel Divinity further enhances their weapon attack with more necrotic damage. They also get any 2 Necromancy cantrip and can twin the cantrip to a second target. At higher level, they can do it with their actual Necromancy spells. Just in case that you haven't realized, they are great at doing necrotic damage. Most of the Necromancy damage they do ignore resistances once they reach level 6. Wow, deal necro good. That's basically what the subclass is all about. It's kinda boring since all it does is do necrotic damage. Yet, it doesn't even do greater damage than fighters, paladins or sorcerer. Worst of all, it doesn't even have any exploration or social features. Well, that's just my opinion anyway. Have any one of you played or seen someone play an interesting Death Domain Cleric? Let us know in the comment below if you have. Alright, that's it for the Cleric subclass. If you are new here, please subscribe and press the bell button so that you will be notified when new videos like this are published. If you like Dungeons & Dragons, check out other videos in the channel. I will release new D&D related content on weekends. CJ, over and out.